everybody, and welcome to Upsurge Esports for the first time ever. My name is Maximilian Thor von Neumann. You can call me Formal Casting or Formal for short because I don't think my parents are listening, so I don't expect to see my full name. Then again, you never know. I'm going to be joined today by one Frank Nightstar, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce your last name because right now I will get it wrong. A good sign for sure, but how are you doing, my man?
I'm doing absolutely fantastic. It's been a while, and it's going to be
Ooh.
our first time casting together here, but it's also been a while since we've casted together in general. I am very, very excited to be reunited.
Yeah, so am I. I mean, last time we were casting together, we were yelling at, I believe, LPL, yelling at some Chinese players. I'm expecting the level of play to equal that of the LPL, if not greater. Maybe I'm asking for
Yeah.
too much. I don't know, but I always hear about how great the North America region is. So a lot of expectation from my eyes. Yes, I am American accent, but spoilers alert, I live in Australia, so I'm used to Oceanic League of Legends, the most pure League of Legends, and I am going to be judging so harshly on everything that I see.
Yeah, the most elite region. That is where you're coming from. I completely understand because we here in NA are not applicable to that conversation.
No,
Uh,
no, not at all. I mean, you wish you could be as good as Oceania. I don't know. We have similar world's records, right? Neither of us have won really anything, so there is that.
yeah, you see, to just highlight the difference, the fact that OCE gets players imported into the NA region just speaks volumes because you don't see it happening the other way around.
No, and I mean, you even take all of our best players.
Yeah,
So thank you for that. We've been loving that down here, but no, I digress. We do have a great matchup today. Illinois is taking on Arbor Esports, so it's pretty much Illinois versus the University of Michigan, from what I've gathered. Now, this is very personal to me. My grandfather actually did used to teach at the University of Illinois about like 20, 30 years ago, long time ago. I believe he was an arts professor. And then Michigan, well, they're my favorite football team. So I'm a bit torn on who I really should be going for. I guess that ensures that we're going to get, no bias on my behalf. But at the same time, one of these teams definitely feel like the favorites in this matchup.
yeah, and that's going to be Illinois. They are a fat 3-0 in the
Mm.
group stage so far. Arbor Esports, they're 1-2. You know, their first win came in week number 1, but they've been competitive, throwing out some competitive series out there. In their last series, they, I believe, went all 3 games. So
Yeah.
we'll,
Well,
we'll
hopefully
see.
we'll see 3 games today. I know I would like to see more, not less League of Legends. That said, I still am going to be expecting some differently, a little bit of off-kilter things coming from both these teams so far, just based on the champions that they've kind of been relying on. Not necessarily atypical of the current competitive meta. I'm looking at this Illinois Academy team and their bot lane and how they do like to sort of mix it up, maybe a bit more of the Enchantress side as opposed to those hard engages. It could be an area where Arbor might be looking to punish. But at the same time, when you're 3-0, the skill difference can become a thing. And one thing that I am excited to see is how well these teams actually play and sort of work together as a team. I know we shouldn't judge too much based on solo queue rankings, but when I see that many Ds in a diamonds, I'm talking about, when I see that many of them sort of in a lineup, I always get worried that things might get a little solo queuey. That could be an OCE thing. Unless you're at like the top level, things can break down quite quickly. I have been told Illinois Academy, though, they should be playing like a team. They should be playing League of Legends at a high level, and I'm excited to see how exactly they pull that off.
Yeah, I'm also very excited to see just what kind of League of Legends we do get out of these two teams. As I mean, they're both collegiate rosters, so especially Illinois, who are going to be playing pretty, second fiddle. So they get the high quality scrims, and for Arbor, we'll see. how they end up showing up in this one here. But the bans are actually incredibly fast, Max.
Yeah.
It's a speed run through the bans.
And already we're kind of seeing some of those Enchantress supports I was talking about before actually be the focus of those bans. The Janna being banned away from Illinois Academy. That is super strong, I feel like. If you are forcing a red side ban Janna, that tells me that this is a very strong Janna play for Illinois Academy. And that just means one more power pick available. It's going to be going to the Affiliates.
Yeah, and then Wakanari has been incredibly incredibly skilled at this champ. In solo queue is his most played champion, and I mean it also might spell the fact that Arbor, they want to draft a fair amount of engage because Janna does play quite a nuisance against heavy engaged compositions.
Absolutely, and I think that's reflective actually with the Ashe pick. If you want an AD carry, you can go for some engage. That typically would be the go-to. Again, as I was saying before, I'm not necessarily expecting conventional meta in this one and seeing things like a Darius locked in, like an Ashe locked in. We're already seeing some of these more comfort picks being prioritized by both of these teams.
Yeah, and we actually do get to see Quacker getting his hands onto the Darius. That's incredibly exciting to see here. But Sham, wow, it does mean that he's able to lock in the Fiora. Most likely, of course, the Darius and Fiora are going to the top side. I mean, there's an off chance we get to see the flex into the mid lane, but that would be very interesting. That might be some of the spice that we weren't expecting to see out of this sort of matchup, but that might be an unexpected curveball thrown at us. Most likely not, though.
Yeah, I don't know if Mind Fully is really going to be fully committed to running that Fiora in mid, especially if it is blind. That would be a little shocking. More Enchantress supports, though, being taken off the table. The Nami as well as the Lulu, which, again, is super surprising because there are some things like the Nautilus available. So even if we do see Wakanari go for that Enchantress support, you could just leave that Nautilus open or even look to first take it right now. Syndra, obviously going to be banned out. Strongest mid laner in the game. I won't accept any other argument against that. Sorry. Cutting off your analysis right now, but a smart ban for Arbor, especially if I think they are going to prioritize kind of maybe an engaging support like that Nautilus.
Yeah, the Nautilus could be that pick here. There is the possibility of locking in something like a Pike who has the hook capability. Also is one of their supports more played champs along with the Alistar, which both of them would struggle mightily against mage supports, but Braum also a champion that struggles mightily against Enchantress supports. So if Wakanari decides to opt for Enchantress support, it could be a very, very good lane for them, and they're currently hovering, surprise, surprise, in Enchantress support.
Yeah, it comes down to the karma right now. I mean, probably not the one that they would have wanted, but considering how heavily those supports have been banned so far in this pick and ban phase, you kind of get defaulted with that karma now. I'm a pretty good fan of it, especially with the Darius and the Trundle. You do get that extra bit of engage or possibly disengage with this selection. I actually probably would have I almost like the karma a little bit more than the Nami, which did get banned away in this situation for those reasonings, although you do lose some of that kill pressure in the lane. So very much, I think we're going to be seeing a topside focus coming from this Illinois Academy as we come into this one. Silas is going to be that last hover. Wouldn't be surprised to see that locked in.
Silas will be last pick lock-in, so they still maintain some flexibility and being able to move this Silas into the top side if they care to do so, or we could see some really interesting swaps and maybe like a Karma mid, a Silas jungle, and throw the Trundle into that support role. Because it is a Braum, you would still be able to freely scale on this support Trundle pick if they wanted to opt for that route. And for Arbor Esports, they do end up locking in the Victor, so they also have added a little bit of that late game scaling factor into their composition, which, I mean, besides the Ashe, everyone on Arbor Esports, as far as the carries go, do scale incredibly well.
Yeah, and this could work out in their favor almost because there isn't too much hard engage coming from this Illinois Academy side. So, yes, we could be seeing some early skirmishes. I do feel like Illinois Academy are going to want to quicken the pace and try and get themselves to that early lead. But it almost feels like the best way they're going to do that is maybe try and shove in and get the Silas almost roaming. Either that or just completely outplay their opponents within lane. It's going to be interesting to see how Illinois Academy does try and accelerate this one. I think a lot of eyes should be on Sushi Killa on this Trundle and how he goes for this early game pathing, which lane he does try to sort of push forward to take over that early and mid game. Very much a lot of pressure could be put on this blue side, though.
Yeah, there's definitely the possibility, especially when you go for something like a Trundle in the jungle, you have the ability to just run up top lane and just really ruin Fiora's day early on, because it is a very favorable matchup for Darius in the lane phase, but Fiora definitely outscales that matchup by a long shot, as it will indeed be the Trundle jungle and Silas in the mid lane, and we don't see any Spice. I really actually hopes for Karma mid and Trundle support. That would have been really exciting to see, just because of the fact that there's really not a whole lot that a jungle Trundle will be able to scale off of, given the fact that there isn't a super hard tank on the side of Arbor Esports.
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, although I also want to go back to that point you're saying too about how Sushi Killa should be looking to try and accelerate Quacker on that Darius. And I do agree. And I also want to see it happen pre-level 6 as well, because of like, if you are going to prioritize and go for a strong top side being on this blue side, you don't really have to worry about kill pressure until post level 6 coming from Arbor Esports on what would then be their strong side, being the bot side matchup in this one with that Ashe engage. Like, Ashe is a strong laner, don't get me wrong, but like, you don't really feel that kill pressure until post level 6. And so that kind of gives that window right there for Illinois Academy to maybe put more jungle and map pressure on the top half before they really have to start keeping an eye down below as well. Again, no dragon until after 5 minutes. So you kind of have this nice opening window where I feel Sushi Killa should be trying to accelerate either Quacker or possibly even Dandito in the mid lane as well, if they can get something cheeky right there. It's going to be a very interesting start of this game either way. Pathing is going to be super important. And if Clifton Beefy is able to track Sushi Killa, that could help protect Arbor Esports through this like tumultuous first 6 or 7 minutes or so.
Yeah, that is definitely something to keep watch. And I mean, for the side of Illinois, they're definitely going to be playing towards that top side, because you have kill pressure in the Darius, you have kill pressure in the Silas as well. If you get a nicely placed pillar, the Victor doesn't have too many options except to just flash. Of course, later on when he gets the double upgrade, he gets that move speed on his Q, then he has a little bit of outplay potential without having to burn those summoners, but without it, he really is sort of free food for a Trundle Silas as well.
Yeah, exactly that. And I mean, no, Illinois' Academy is hungry right now. They want that free food. They want to eat all they can. Trundle's a big boy. So is Darius. They like to eat a lot. I don't know about Silas. He could actually probably use a little more meat on his bones. I digress. They're definitely going to be hungry for this one. If we're going just solely, though, based on picks and bans and compositions, I do kind of feel like I prefer Arbor Esports a little bit more. Just because I like that engage. I like the scaling, but still having that ability to duel. But again, if we're looking at the matchups, we're looking at who's performed better in the past so far within this league. It definitely has been Illinois Academy, so I'm excited to see how they might be able to pull this one through.
Yeah, and while I do like some of the scaling on the side of Arbor Esports, I do struggle to see how they end up playing out some of these team fights, because they don't really have any easy way to execute them because your only frontline champion is going to be a Braum. You don't really have any great repositioning tools onto some of these backline champions. It really just comes down to these champions themselves have to be played extremely high level in these team fights when there is going to be a Silas in your face, a Trundle in your face, a Karma empowered Darius trying to run you down. And so I think the ease of execution definitely goes in favor of Illinois Academy, but the Fiora definitely can throw a spanner in the works.
Yeah, Sham, wow, it's definitely going to be exciting to watch in this one. See if we can get a strong split push and scaling into it. I digress, though. First, we will be cutting to a quick commercial break. But when we get back, game one between Illinois Academy and Arbor Esports.
Started with a vision of quality, a vision of uniformity. We took the time to create something familiar yet refreshing, something with a bit of change.
Designed to fit any brand's unique vision.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Summoner's Rift here at Upsurge Esports. Once again, my name is Formal Casting. I'm not even going to tell you my real name this time. We're going to keep that a mystery for those who showed up right away. Nightstar, don't reveal your true name either, all right? We're keeping that a secret.
All right. So you are called, I believe, Maximilian Pegasus, and I am
Ooh.
called Yugi.
Oh, that's a good combo between the two of us for sure. We're going to definitely have some dual monsters go down, especially if Clinton Beefy is able to spot out Sushi Killer right there. Gets a little pop. More importantly, though, that ward was actually destroyed, so a little bit of vision denied in this instance, but nothing too crazy. Line of scrimmages were set up. No one's trying to break them in this time, so it's going to be instinct, really, when it comes down to tracking each opposing jungler.
Yeah, and you're also going to get that extra 10 gold lead for the Trundle here. That's going to be super important, right? Not really, but you know, we always talk about it during the in game. If you are, especially if you're the Trundle, game's over. Jungle difference. Just hurry up and AFK.
Yeah. And the timing too, just barely going to work out for Clinton Beefy. I was a little bit worried he wasn't going to make it back to that red buff before it spawned. Everything does work out. Pretty standard start in that regards. Now, again, Sushi Killa is going to be one to watch during this early game to see if he can take advantage of that pre-level 6 window to really get one of those lanes ahead for Illinois Academy.
Yeah, and also the fact that he is playing that Trundle, which is very easy to gank with. In my opinion, because you just throw down your pillar, and they just can't. It's one of the most you got outplayed moments, kind of like the Malzahar ultimate, where you throw it down and you just go outplayed as they die.
Yep. Yeah, it's the outplay button, the best button in League of Legends for sure. And it definitely is suiting for the sort of team competition Illinois Academy has together because they just kind of like to right-click and just run at your face, it almost feels like, with this side. So we are hopefully going to be seeing a bit of that already, though, as we've been talking about. Sushi Killa looking at that top lane, uses the sweeper to not spot any ward, so he's going to be going in. Shamwow, aware of the situation, is going to try to escape through the river, does able to climb over the top of that Pillar of Filth, and will escape that first gank.
Yeah, and that was such a great play coming out from Shamwow, and the fact that he was able to parry the apprehend, and that's a huge just micro play to get it out of that situation, because the stun onto Darius means you're mitigating so much extra damage, and he literally just walked it off.
And was able to freeze the wave as well. So Shamwow actually in a great position, going to go in for an engage, but it looked as if Clinton Beefy was actually going the other direction. So maybe a little bit premature. It might not matter though, because Shamwow is winning the 1v1 and Clinton Beefy does arrive to steal that kill away. First blood, it goes to Arbor Esports.
Yeah, first blood to Arbor Esports. That's a great counter gank there coming in from this Graves in response to the early gank attempt coming in from Trundle, and that's never a good thing when your TP list Darius falls to a gank in the top side, and the TP Fiora now gets to pretty much have her way with this lane.
Yeah, and I mean, everything about how Shamwow has handled this early game has just shut down Illinois Academy so much. I mean, first of all, perfect absorption of that gank by Sushi Killer at that 3-minute mark. Again, we were going to be expecting something like that, so Shamwow able to anticipate it, play around it, going to hold the stock. As Sushi Killer now is looking at the mid lane, mindfully forced to flash. The follow-up flash by Sushi Killer, though, will be used to secure that kill. We're one aside, but here's Clinton Beefy, who's been doing such a good job at tracking Sushi Killer. Won't be able to get the kill just yet. Instead, it's going to scare them off.
Yeah, gets them out of there, but the big kill remains in the fact that you're able to get that shutdown onto the victor early on. A very nice trade happening in the top side still. So ShamWow going to be chugging those potions, but fortunately for him, does have a nice juicy wave accumulated at his tower. So he's still going to be very happy and just continuing to farm this out. But I mean, the Darius power being showcased at last during this lane phase. But again, we mentioned it, the Victor could struggle mightily in this lane because of the fact that Trundle can just kind of drive by, throw down that pillar, and really get outplayed in that situation as the Victor.
Yeah, that said, though, things aren't going too smooth for Illinois Academy right now. Again, that first blood, obviously, but also an odd time to reset their lanes. May have just given up that Infernal Drake for free going over to this Arbor Esports side, or maybe not, as it does look like a fight will be breaking out. The Dragon was secured, however, rooted in place is Mexican Thunder. Flash forward by Wakari, looking to secure that kill, does get the root. The follow-up damage should be there, and Kuderik is going to get his first kill of the game. Meanwhile, at the Wolf Camp, Sushi Killa trying to find a way into Beefy, perhaps not going to find it, instead gets distracted by the ward. Chomp, 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 it goes in the mid lane. Dandito going for the solo kill, man, fully not level 6 just yet. Here comes that big ultimate, but it's not enough to secure the kill.
Not enough to secure the kill, but once again, Victor just shoved out of lane. He's going to be able to farm the rest of those minions, but it looks like he's forced to channel another recall. And the big thing for picking Victor is the fact that you want to get to that first Hex Core upgrade. And at this rate, it's going to be a while. He might be finding quite a few Doran's rings in his inventory before he actually is able to get that upgrade. Although right now it does look like he's just going to try and greed out. But that's always a dangerous prospect as well, because of the fact that, well, if you just get ganked over and over again, it's not like you're getting any stronger.
Yeah, it's also always a bad feeling as well when the first Chaos Storm is used by your opponent and not you when you're playing Victor. That's also a kind of a feels bad right there. And when you're forced to only buy rings and your scaling's falling behind and you're being held back. I mean, mine fully should have fully been expecting what was going to be happening in this matchup. So I'm hoping that his mind is ready for it, sort of that mental game, being prepared to perhaps be behind for a large majority of this game. That's something that we're going to have to watch and see how it follows through. As it stands right now, though, even though Illinois Academy does have that gold lead, does have that small kill lead, I am pretty impressed with how Arbor Esports has played this early game and played this map. They did get that first blood. They got the first dragon as well. So despite being that scaling team, they are getting these little advantages, which is just going to sort of extend the game more and more. I am expecting Illinois Academy to start upping this pace soon-ish, maybe not quite just yet, but eventually this blue side is going to have to start pulling a few more triggers.
Yeah, they are going to have to find some way to respond here. But the big thing is the fact that, well, you're still able to pump gold as far as Illinois Academy is looking here. And it looks like they want to go for that early rotate to try and contest for this Rift Herald, which would be a big sort of gold play if they're able to get it. But
oh, this doesn't look good. Dandito already looking for the flank, somehow gets the change over the wall. Follow through, not quite there, and barely able to escape is Clinton Bigsby. That said, though, they did give over that Rift Herald back over to the Illinois Academy side, so that is a pretty big advantage going the blue way. The first neutral objective that they're able to secure for themselves, and maybe now we'll start seeing that Illinois snowball.
Yeah, however, unfortunately for them, they lost a plate in that bottom lane. They might lose a second one as well, which is basically what you're getting for that Rift Herald. That is what you get from Rift Herald, an extra 2 plates that you get pretty much for free because of that charge. And the fact that Arbor Esports, they just committed to taking those plays in the bot lane does mean that they're unable to really gain a large advantage here, but they are able to, you know, go into these 2v1 lanes. So we'll see how these solo laners end up playing things out in these disadvantaged lane matchups. And Kuderik really putting 200 years to work.
Yeah, trying to find that little pick right there onto ShamWow as Clinton Beefy has shown up to help, but that's just going to draw the attention of the Sushi Killer as well. More tower damage being thrown down on this top side as down below a reset has actually happened, so that should be first brick going in favor of Illinois Academy.
And then should...
Oh.
Oh, he misses.
Oh!
The
Gravity
turnaround.
well into Chaos Storm, doing a fair bit of damage to Dandito. Mindfully, though, doesn't quite have the itemization. Enchanted Crystal Arrow just misses. That could have been huge.
He definitely felt the wind on that one, Max. That was whistled straight past the ear. They actually didn't throw down the Rift Herald up in the top side to get this turret, which means that ShamWow, he's able to make this little aggressive play, but unable to actually get too much out of it besides shooing them away.
Yeah, but he did use his ultimate right there, so no grand challenge right now. Sushi Killer is actually looking for a play. The Pillar of Filth is going to slow ShamWow down. More beatdown happening on this Fiora, forced to flash as well, and ShamWow, who had such a strong early game, has now given up first tower.
Yep, they are going to lose first tower. That's going to be used to trade out for Dragon, but... I mean, they still have Rift Herald. They can still throw it down in another location. They could just look to plop it down mid here upon that recall. It is sitting on the Philios, so Kuderik will be in charge of making that call where they want to throw that Rift Herald down. It could be the mid lane, but they have the possibility of just killing that bot lane turret because it is sitting on 3 plates.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like that's where they're going to be focusing their attention right now. Whether or not that's the correct play, time will tell, but it does feel as if Illinois Academy has been happy just to send Quacker down to that bot lane at this stage and just let him slowly whittle away at that bot side tower. So I am expecting more to see the Rift Herald dropped in the mid lane. Already we're at the stage of the game where Kuderik is going ahead and getting, the Raptors starting to farm from the jungle as well. They're definitely looking to be accelerating this Aphelios, and seeing as he's in mid lane, I am expecting to drop. That said, down below, Quacker forced to flash through to the Enchanted Crystal Arrow and exhaust as well. Meanwhile, the rest of Illinois Academy is just going to wail away at this tower. No minions required. Does mean Rift Herald won't be able to take it down, but action happening both in the mid and the bot lane as up top ShamWow going to work as well.
They are able to get some good damage into the mid lane, but Kuderik, he could go down. That's going to be the flash expended by the Philios, and mindfully just, catching a really nice opportunity and being able to just use his entire combo.
Yeah, so he's going to have to back away from now and really play this one a bit safer. Good read right there by Clifton Beefy, being able to understand, oh wait, mid lane pressure's gone, going to go ahead, steal some buffs while we can, especially with Sushi Killer down below trying to fight right now this bot lane. No Enchanted Crystal Arrow available does mean Arden probably doesn't want to fight. They're going to lose some pressure on the bot side of the map in return, and we've been sort of, Illinois Academy has sort of been flipping the strong side of the map so quickly at times. Arbor Esports always feels to be almost more reactionary, yet they're still able to find dragons. Gank happening up top right now. Quacker getting abused a fair bit. Clifton Bigby could be looking for the tower dive, but I'm not sure they want it. This Darius still is quite tanky. Mindfully is here. Cosmic Storm not available, but might not be needed. Quacker nearly going down, but we'll be able to escape. Teleport coming through from Dandito. Kuderik is here as well. They are able to catch out Mindfully, so a kill does go back to the Illinois Academy side. Meanwhile, down below, Arbor Esports, they're going to try and take this bot tower.
They're going to try and trade out this bottom tower. Hopefully they're able to cash in onto that last plate before the plates end up falling. They are able to do that, but it is still a pretty solid trade for the side of Illinois Academy here, just because of the fact that if they get extra gold onto that Ashe, it's not the end of the world because of the fact that she isn't the most insane mid or late game carry here in the game. If it was something like the Fiora or even the Victor, you might have a little bit of concerns, but it's not too bad in the fact that this was thrown down onto a hail of blades. Ashe, mind you.
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, again, Hail of Blades Ashe, a little bit different from what I've seen in the past, but what do I know? I'm not the big brain here. That's your job to sort of break down why that Halo Blaze is being used. Vision has been set up by Illinois Academy throughout this river, so the sort of positioning and this invading happening going on, trying to establish Vision from Arbor Esports around that Dragon Pit is going to be known by the Illinois Academy side. Whether or not they're going to be looking to contest this Dragon is another story entirely. They're more focused right now on securing that second Rift Herald, so willing to give up Soul Point perhaps for that second Rift Herald. Very interesting. Tells me Illinois Academy, they want to accelerate this game sooner than later.
Yeah, and I mean, it is respectable with how they plan on attacking this game here. It would be that Mountain Dragon. So right now, they're just trying to get themselves to be as strong as they can, most likely just trying to get that second item completed onto that Aphelios. And if we just look at the gold values, the Aphelios is 1,200 ahead of this Ashe, so he is going to be very, very strong, even though the Ashe has been able to find plates of her own in that bottom lane, but just not to the effect that the Aphelios has, and also the fact that the Aphelios has found 2 kills. In fact, they might just be able to get this dragon for free here. That would be really nice.
Yeah, and very surprising as well, considering how Arbor Esports kind of spent so many resources down here. They still might be looking for the fight. That's not where you put your damage, Clifton. He could be getting run down. Dandito secures that kill. Mexican Thunder gets slamma-jammed, as well as Quacker is going to decapitate him. 2 kills, as well as the Dragon going to Illinois Academy.
That's just the slam jam being thrown down over there. They use the stolen Ashe ultimate to find the pick onto Clifton. And I mean, with that, they also secure themselves that dragon. And really, it's all going according to plan here in this mid game. Being able to funnel that extra gold early on makes them strong enough to perhaps get 4 Mountain Dragons, which would be a lot of free stats and a free inhib at 17 minutes.
Okay, I have thoughts about the 17-minute inhibitor, and they're not necessarily always the best ones. This is actually could be seen as a bad thing unless Illinois Academy is going to be willing to double down on that 20-minute Baron. Otherwise, they're just going to be funneling more gold right back to that Arbor Esports. I was very surprised to see them commit that hard for that inhibitor at this stage.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one as well. Usually in solo queue, if you get that 17-minute inhib, you're kind of just stuck in a situation where you aren't able to do anything mid anymore, unless if you just arbitrarily get 2 or 3 kills from people just being up too far or running into the jungle. But one of the things you are able to get off of this mid inhib take is the fact that you are going to be able to really attack the vision around those lanes. So for the side of Arbor Esports, as long as they don't get too aggressive trying to get into their own jungle, and like if we look at the map right now, they have great vision in the top half of the jungle, so they aren't going to just lose all their vision control right away. But when some of that vision does start fading, as long as they don't get too hasty in running into these bushes, they should get a lot of gold from this inhib being taken mid.
Slightly off topic, but a quick question. What AD carry build requires 2 Cloaks of Agility?
It would be the double zeal. So right now he's just trying to get that extra crit here.
Okay.
He is now nearsighted, which is, you know, never a good thing. I myself am quite nearsighted, so you know, kind of sucks. But the double cloak of agility will just build into his 2. Oh, okay.
2 zeal items says, Dandito should be able to escape this situation. The volley not quite slowing down enough. And this is one of those other sort of plays that I could see from Illinois Academy with that middle inhibitor down. It does let them secure the bot side of the map where there was still that tier 1 tower sitting. And they're just going to keep on pushing right now. And Arbor Esports very slow in reacting to this 4-man push happening down below. No one's stepping up near it. So 2 free towers go over to the blue side.
Yeah, and that means that they just get all this control in the bottom half, and given the fact that there's so much focus being put around especially this Mountain Soul, which will be the big contesting point, the fact that the side of Illinois, they could possibly get 4 Mountain Dragons is an insane prospect.
I mean, I feel like if we're getting that late into the game where Illinois Academy has 4 Mountain Dragons, something probably has gone very wrong for this blue side, considering we're already an inhibitor down and now they're knocking at Baron's door. Mexican Thunder is around, so we could be seeing Arbor Esports try something. Clifton Beefy up above as well. He's going to be the one to watch. The vision's not secured, and Dandito with the Enchanted Crystal Arrow actually catches Clifton, who will not go down off screen. Enchanted Crystal Arrow thrown right back. That's going to be a Baron assisted kill right there. Quacker's low, double kill for Mindfully, as here comes the Mexican Thunder. Mindfully flashing forward, trying to get to Wakani, doesn't have the damage to bring the combo down. Yes, he does. That is the triple, and now Baron could be going back that other way.
Could be that big swing in favor of the side of Arbor Esports. Dandito wants to try and, change things himself, but that's really all he can do because no one really is around to help him out. It would just be a one-man play, and it doesn't look like he has decided to opt in.
Mexican. Okay, phew. Got a little close right there, but can I just throw this out there? First game I've ever casted for North America, and we had a game-changing Baron play. I'm not going to, say what you do with the football about it just yet because the game's still happening, but North America, baby, I love it. Here we go. Game just got very interesting yet again.
It definitely has gotten to be very interesting, but the map state still hasn't changed a whole lot with how many of these minions are still pushing towards that Arbor base. It means that they are going to have better positioning onto the second mountain, and they're going to be able to secure that for themselves. So still accumulating those stats here. They are also going to involve in their builds a fair amount of defensive stats as well. So definitely going to be a big boon for them moving forward into this game.
Absolutely, but at that same token as well, if we're looking at the game state, I mean, Arbor Esports now do have that gold lead. They have this Baron as well, and I have to go back to that 17-minute inhibitor take, and again, question it, because they funneled more gold in that way. They don't get that early Baron, which would have been, in my eyes, the big goal for taking out the inhibitor at that stage, and I kind of feel like, yes, that Baron fight wasn't great, but if we're going to pinpoint one sort of mistake that's been the catalyst for it, it was that inhibitor going down a little bit too early for Illinois Academy.
Yeah, I would definitely have to agree because Mindfully was able to get some free gold without having to deal with a Trundle just coming in from behind him, trying to pillar him, and now ShamWow being jumped on right here.
Yeah, and it's actually ShamWow doing a good job. That did when the third member shows up. He's going to try to flash to escape. Does get that last proc, so the healing from the Grand Challenge, keeping ShamWow alive. Eventually he goes down, but as this is happening, mid lane pressure being put on by the other 4 members of Arbor Esports. They got the second tower. They're looking for a third. Mexican Thunder doing what he can to take a lot of that damage, and through that, they are going to pull off now. So tower in exchange for ShamWow's life.
So it is going to be a trade in that regard. And, I really have to say that does favor the side of Illinois here because of the fact you're able to get rid of the Baron buff onto the Fiora, which at this stage in the game, really starting to get to that point where Fiora definitely outshines the Darius. Sure, the Darius has the Triforce completed, will be a little bit better in the all-ins versus that Ravenous Hydra, but the fact that you can continuously take short trades as the Fiora and then heal to full will definitely mean in the long run we'll always be able to win out. So that's why in the side lane the Fiora is definitely starting to gain a lot of traction.
Yeah, definitely starting to sort of get things going now. I have to admit, I'm a little bit disappointed in ShamWow and the fact that they have an assist. Last Fiora game I cast, just throwing this out there, 0-4-0 was the scoreline. Split push only. They wound up winning this game. Enchanted Crystal Arrow catching Sushi Killa, who's not getting out of this jungle alive. Very ambitious positioning coming from the Illinois Academy jungle player.
Yeah, and if you look at where he was and you look at where his team was, just a little bit of difference. A distance separated them, just a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, you know, sometimes you just gotta say, I'm going deep. Intelligence be damned. Let's see what we can find down here. And, well, only found members of the Arbor Esports side. Baron buff has worn off right now, so it is going to be a little bit more difficult for them to push, but map control definitely gone in their favor. They have that gold lead. Everything looking pretty well right now for this Arbor Esports team. This is also the scaling team as well, so they are going to be getting a bit stronger and stronger as we progress, and I'm worried if Illinois Academy just kind of threw away their window to win this game in a conventional manner.
It might get to be some convoluted or really fancy smoke and mirror plays to try and get this game to end here, but a big purchase comes in for the Fiora. Now has the complete Trinity Force. The 40 CS lead has a teleport. The Fiora is definitely online, and if you're Quacker, really it's like, if you come in for this dragon, of course you're going to do it, but the potential of Fiora just teleporting top lane and taking a Nexus tower is definitely there, Max.
Yeah, absolutely. ShamWow is in that prime position. Enchanted Crystal Arrow hits Mexican Thunder, so we're not going to be seeing any engage off of that. A little bit disappointing for the Illinois Academy side, and that's actually a pretty critical ultimate gone right now with a dragon spawning in less than a minute. Fiora's already doing that split push, so ShamWow is going to draw the attention of Illinois Academy, and I think the timing of this play probably wasn't the best, but the results still could be the same, though they can't commit too hard for the dragon because Baron will be spawning soon as well. So I liked what Arbor Esports was trying to do, just the timing not quite there in this instance.
Yeah, not quite lined up perfectly for their timing, but now that he is going back into that top lane...
Watch Bandito! Here he comes! Not going to be able to steal the dragon away. Clint Beefy, able to avoid the gravity well, will escape. Meanwhile, up top, ShamWow just being as annoying as possible, never really left. Quacker cannot do much against this Fiora in a 1v1, you would have to think.
Just cannot do too much here. Also, the fact that the Fiora has a red buff just makes it even more annoying. The tower is going to go away.
Oh, the guillotine doing a lot of damage, but ShamWow should be able to turn this right back around. Not quite. Quacker able to secure that kill, but only just.
Only just is indeed the correct phrasing right there, and that's still going to be a nice little kill going for them because it just relieves so much pressure onto the map, just being able to relax mentally, knowing that there isn't going to be a Fiora taking all of your turrets. And now we could see the engage.
Ooh.
Good flash, but now do they look to turn the tables? They still have Enchanted Crystal Arrow available to them, and it looks like U of I, they're about to run into their old Baron.
Oh, I don't know about this one, Nightstar. Teleport's going to be available. Teleport is now available for ShamWow. Instead, Mexican Thunder will be jumped upon. Where's the teleport? It's coming through. It might be a little too late, but Arden's already turned this fight around because Santino's done. Scrub Killer caught out above. Clint Beefy actually flashes into the middle of everything, but it works out because Arden is just untouched, throwing arrows everywhere. 2 kills, 3 kills, in fact, going to this Arbor Esports side. And for the second time, Illinois Academy loses a big fight in the Baron Pit.
Big fight lost here. Now Arden, he's he just finds some free food there.
Yeah, that ignite from Wakanari, a bit of a hope and a prayer, I feel like, to stop what was happening. As it stands, that should do it for game number 1, perhaps. Death Timers actually might be spawning. Dandino will be up in 5 seconds. Arbor Esports looking to end it before then. They do have a lot of damage. First Nexus Tower gone. Second one soon after. Dandino running towards the fight. Has Kaderic right behind him. Enchanted Cristiano, though, slowing the approach as the Nexus gets railed upon. Shamwow did what he can. Nexus will go down, and Arbor Esports take game number 1.
Yeah, and in surprising fashion, in surprising Baron classic NA fashion, yeah, that's all I have to say.
Yeah, I mean, look, this. Can I say I'm too surprised? No, not really. This is what I expect from North America, you know. Slower start of the games, crazy team fights, and everything ends in the Baron pit one way or the other. Fantastic performance, though, from Arbor Esports. I feel like they handled the early game where they should have been at a disadvantage very well. That kind of pushed them into the mid-late game. The decision-making from Illinois Academy at times just felt overconfident to me. Again, that 17-minute inhibitor take, that early Baron kind of flip-flop around the fact that we were seeing Sushi Killer get caught out in the jungle at times when he had no business being there. Little things like that kind of tells me that Illinois Academy were feeling almost too overconfident, and Arbor Esports are competent enough and, you know, it's strong enough to punish them for it.
Yeah, I definitely think that in this first game, we saw a little bit of disrespect, and maybe it's from the fact that they're from rival schools in the same conference. That could definitely play a factor. You don't want to gas them up too much because they are a rival in the same conference. You know, if you give them too much credit,
Yeah, exactly. Things like that can happen at times. You never know. With the rivalry games are always like the most intense. It's why I always get scared when I see the Packers play the Vikings. No matter how terrible the Vikings are, no matter how much money they give Kirk Cousins, no matter, you know, how useless the entire lineup, the coaching, the fan base is, you always get nervous as a Packer fan when playing the Vikings.
Yeah, I never get nervous at all because if we lose to the Packers, I just say Aaron Rodgers was better, and if we win, I'm just like, that's right, Max. Go Vikings.
In case you can't pick it up right now, Packer fan, Night Star Viking fan. Yet we get along well enough here. On that note, we will be taking a quick break before we get ready for game number 2. So don't go anywhere, peeps. More League of Legends here at Upsurge Esports. Upsports Upsurge. When we come back. So stick with us. Thank you. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Esurge Upsports, or Upsurge Esports, as I'm supposed to call it. My name is Formal, joined by Nightstar, already a one-game advantage going to Arbor Esports in this one, as they pulled off a little bit of an upset. There were some barren shenanigans that Illinois Academy kind of let slip through their fingers, but game number 2, a whole new game, and we are already in our picks and bans.
Yeah, the teams are going to be swapping sides up here. Of course, you know, when you have these conference rivalries, it is kind of always that thing where you never know what might happen, because for all we know, these two teams end up scrimming each other quite a bit because of the fact that they are, in the same conference. They probably have some solid connections, and when you're looking for scrim partners, usually you end up scrimming people in the conference, as long as you're not on the same side of bracket. But
Well, also, Illinois Academy is not Ohio State, so I do feel like this Michigan side would probably be more willing to scrim and practice with them, although they might be rethinking that depending on how this next game goes right now, because it would be very, very disappointing, I feel, to be a part of this Illinois Academy team and then drop a series to a team with a losing record when you're sitting undefeated, even if it is still pretty early in this season. Now, as this picks and bans, as they are continuing to progress right now, once again, Aphelios is going to be that priority pick. This time, however, going over to Arden on this blue side, who, while the Ashe probably wasn't the most effective character in game number 1, Arden in that final team fight did come up huge.
yeah, and the Ashe did play her role, especially with that Essence Reaver build, just having the ultimate constantly off of cooldown, just trying to fish for possible fights. Unfortunately, the team fell behind really early, so wasn't able to just press R every single time the Ashe hero was available. So that's why we did see a little bit of a muted impact coming in from that Ashe pick, but Illinois Academy locking in Ezreal Olaf does mean that they still want to kind of maintain that early aggression and probably still play heavily topside.
I really want to see Arbor Esports take the Yumi right now, because I love Yumi Graves, and I do not want to see a Yumi Ezreal plus a Yumi Olaf together. But instead, they're going for the Lulu, and I'm not sure I agree with this. I think Yumi right now is super strong on each of these sides, and it's scaring me that no one is giving the cat any love.
Yeah, and actually, surprisingly enough, Ardent has played a different AD carry every single game, except now this will be his second game of Aphelios. So in let's see, what is it? It's 9 games. He'll have played 8 different marksmen. So that's actually quite a number. And Soraka is a scaling support here and does provide a lot of heals. But you could have gone for a Yumi Olaf combination.
Yeah, Yumi Ezreal, one of the safest, best lanes, and then you can throw Yumi onto the Olaf, and you just can run down pretty much every other champion in the game. Super surprised by that, but to go back to your point about, being able to play all different marksmen, I don't know. Maybe this is my ignorance as playing someone who plays every single lane except for AD carry, but aren't they all the same? Don't you just right-click champions, maybe push R in a team fight in the general direction of everyone is? Is there that much a difference there? I'm going to say no. I'm going to be the authority on that and just say no.
Well,
they're all the same. They're all the same.
Aphelios is a different beast. He has the power of 200 years.
True, but I mean...
He slaps you with the hourglass.
Okay, I mean... Yes, slapping people with an hourglass, I suppose, is different. I don't know. I see Aphelios. Yeah, he's 5 AD carries mesh in one, but all AD carries are the same. All right, look. Lucian's the same as Draven, is the same as Caitlyn.
Well, if you combine 5 of them, that must mean you do 5 times the damage, right?
And that's why Aphelios is getting first picked 2 games in a row. I'm not saying the numbers are the same. As it goes right now, though, we are already into our second pick phase, and we're seeing Ernot get selected, and that's not someone who I've seen in a very long time.
Yeah, that is someone I did not expect to see, Max. Does have the possibility of still being a flex pick, and not gonna lie, I didn't expect either of anyone on both of these teams to even consider Urgot. But Urgot, not that bad of a champion because of the fact that he can get really tanky, yet also has that range advantage in these matchups. So depending if the other laner does end up taking a melee matchup, will definitely have the advantage in that lane. But Corki locked in, will be headed mid lane, and Fiora going to be the pick again. So surprising that they didn't expect to go for a Fiora ban or maybe even a GP ban. ShamWow just really likes these scaling top laners, and after that performance, you know, I'm willing to give it to ShamWow in some of these matchups.
Yeah, I kind of am tending to agree right now. ShamWow had a fantastic game number 1 on that Fiora. Granted, there was a bit of help from the jungle last time around. Clifton Beefy, I think, did a phenomenal job, especially in that early game on the Graves the first time around, and being able to get the Graves yet again, I think it's going to be super advantageous for Arbor Esports as Illinois Academy. Going to finish off their picks with the Echo mid. I do like Echo mid a lot. You're able to roam. You have that backline assassination. So an interesting team comp coming from both these sides. I'm going to quickly call out, the big daddy of Upsurge Esports broadcast team, One Hypertension. He gave me a list of meta and champions to expect in this, and it has been so off the mark from what we've been getting so far in this one. Your list has been so much more accurate. Not his fault, Hyper. I mean, we all know Hyper. He's someone who has very strong opinions on how the game should be played, and I don't think either of these teams are kind of committing to the Hyper script.
Well, let's just say it's Max Formal calling out Grant Hypertension, saying that he's wrong, live on stream on Upsurge Esports. Where he's
this is going to be my first inherited cast. Hey! It's no longer Upsurge Esports. It's Upsurge Esports. So it's different. I'm able to get away with it. So yes, for possibly the last time, I am formal casting here on Upsurge Esports, and it's definitely going to be a good one for sure. I'm excited for this series. Look, there obviously metas exist for a reason, but it's always fun when metas get broken, and you can never really predict it. I'm excited to see how this Urgot will go. I'm not as excited about the Soraka pick just because it's Soraka, and anyone who loves seeing those green health bars go up, I'm sure you can get just as much fun watching that paint dry when you redo your room. It's going to be a very, very unique game for sure. I think both these teams probably are going to be putting a lot of priority and focus on the top half of the map.
Yeah, I definitely think it will be very top focused once again. But the Fiora does have a very solid matchup into the Urgot, because even when Urgot hits that level 6 point, it's just Fiora can just repose that ultimate. Also, the fact that Urgot's CC is just so telegraphed also makes it easy for Fiora to win these duels. And then you add in the Echo. Sure, the Echo pick is great by itself, but the fact of the matter is it's playing into a Lulu. Lulu presses W onto Echo, and Echo mourns his life. He regrets. Yep, just going to let that one sit there, as we may have lost Max?
Oh, I'm still here. Sorry, my apologies.
All right.
I'm still here.
You two agree that
yes.
Echo will just be really depressed.
I agree, but the point I was trying to make before I realized I accidentally muted my mic I'm actually curious, what happens because I don't think I've seen this interaction. What happens when you polymorph Urgot mid-ultimate? Just like the little squirrel just pull out like ripping chainsaws and cut opponent whoever they ult? Or is that another way to save it?
I would assume the ult still goes through.
Yeah, so we can see like squirrels horribly mutilate and dismember people. How exciting is that? I am keen.
All right. This will be the last cast you'll be able to see Max formal. Max.
like Happy Tree Friends, okay? Great animated shorts, and I want to see it on the Rift right now.
Oh, well, it should definitely be an interesting time. I don't know if the Urgot will be able to find a whole lot of impact. A
No.
lot of this is going to fall onto Sushi Killa picking the Olaf. There is a little bit of a disconnect in this composition, I will have to say, because you have Urgot Echo, Olaf, who really want to go in, and Ezreal Soraka, who just kind of want to chill.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's a lot of, chill that could be happening in this game as well. I do agree. Ezreal Soraka, definitely a very passive, very safe lane. But the one thing that Illinois Academy did in game number 1 that I found interesting and which could actually flip the map around was they were always the instigators when it came to those lane swaps, trying to play around where they perceived the next neutral objective would be and prioritizing that. So even though Ezreal and Soraka are going to be want to chill, that doesn't necessarily mean that the bot half of the map, I feel, is going to be the weak side for Illinois Academy, because they could be willing to flip it at pretty much any given moment, although more likely when dragons are available.
Yeah, and I would like to see them really apply that this game, with the fact that the Urgot will struggle with the Fiora a lot sooner than the Darius would have in the previous game. Sure, the Darius ended up dropping a kill, and that just helped the process further, but Urgot really not an ideal matchup into the Fiora. We'll see how it ends up playing out, though.
Yeah, we definitely will. I think also similarly, like what we saw in the first game, there's going to be a lot of pressure on Sushi Killa to kind of make things happen, especially through this early and mid game on this Olaf, just because of how passive and perhaps how weak these lanes might be. That said, before we kick off our next game, I'm going to do a quick shout out to some of the sponsors here at Upsurge Esports, in particular, Kono Keyboards. Now, if you're looking to take your game to that next level, well, it starts with peripherals. Very important. And keyboards, keycaps, mice, and more, Kono, they have you covered. They work with the world's best designers, inventors, and the makers to bring you some of the best gaming peripherals around. They have been huge supporters here at Upsurge. They've made generous contributions to the prize pools. So if you need a new keyboard, if you need a new mouse, they have some cool products, including Hexgear's X1 RGB low-profile Bluetooth mechanical keyboard. I love mechanical keyboards. They always sound the best, so we'll be checking that out. I mean, you just listen to, doesn't it sound so good? Mechanical keyboards, absolutely amazing. Use the discount code UpsurgeGG for 7% off your first order. For more information, head to kono.store to check out what they have to offer. KONO.store. Definitely go check them out. Also, a huge shout out and thank you to the Unified Esports Association. Before they were Midwest Esports, very fitting considering this is kind of a Midwest showdown right now. It's more mid-country, but for some reason people call this the Midwest at times. I don't know. U.S. geography confuses me. Either way, Unified Esports Association, Kansas-based company that oversees multiple products that specialize and operate as a dynamic pipeline within the esports industry. They provide shared experience that directly serve collegiate, youth, hobbyists, and amateur video game players at every stage, starting as a small student group out of Wichita State University, and they've grown. They're veteran organizers to tournaments and events all throughout the United States. They host tournaments for League of Legends, Rocket League. Okay, I'm already sold. Like right there, there's my two. Oh, and Overwatch as well. Okay, that's fine. For more information, you can go ahead and check them out, uea.gg. Now, we will be getting to the game very, very soon. Just going to be taking a quick pause, and when we come back, we're going to be on the Rift for game number 2.
about humanity. About humanity. It's all about humanity. About humanity. It's all about humanity.
Gave you too much, now I'm swallowed. Now I'm the fool while you're breaking rules. Dangerous path that I follow. Oh, go on, just do what you do. And it as I bleed for you, cry for you, oh, oh. Let me bleed. As I bleed for you, cry for you, oh, oh. Let me bleed. Let me all of the pain seems to follow, like a shadow dark and cold to the touch. Am I insane not to let go? Oh, go on, just do what you do. And it as I bleed for you, cry for you, oh, oh. Let me bleed.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back here at Upsurge Esports. It's now time for Game 2 between Arbor as well as Illinois Academy. Game 1 was definitely exciting, hoping for more of the same in our second game. If Arbor takes it, it's going to be a quick afternoon. But if Illinois takes this one, well, we're going to that big Game 3.
Yeah, and I mean, we talked about it during the draft. A lot of this comes down to how the opening plays out, how Sushi Killa is able to influence these lanes, especially that top side.
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise it's going to be a whole lot of unfun playing Urgot and Echo into a Lulu and a Philios.
Yeah, I mean, definitely the top half of the map right now is going to need to take off for this Illinois Academy side, but something which does has me a little bit worried. This was a similar situation to game number 1, and as we remember, Arbor Esports, they were able to accommodate for it and sort of absorb that top lane early pressure and then turn it back around. If that's to happen 2 games in a row, I'd have to say that's kind of a disaster for Illinois Academy, and that has to be weighing at the back of their minds. When you're playing someone with Olaf, there is no room for hesitation. You have to commit for every play that you try to make. So I'm hoping that's still going to be the case for Sushi Killa, but it's definitely something to be mindful of.
Yeah, something to be mindful of, and also, I mean, the lane will still be kind of okay as long in this top side, as long as you're not looking to aggressively just use that dash for no reason, because of the fact that it is really easy to parry. But beyond that, you're still gonna have the range advantage, so maybe he's able to really put that to use here. Oh, okay.
Yep. I'm just using it for a bit of poke right now, kind of punishing that later ward drop. Something I find interesting about the start of this game as well is no one was able to get those deep wards in, which just means Sushi Killa largely going to be able to sort of jungle without any sort of idea where he is. Again, it's going to be a case of instinct trying to track this Olaf, especially because he did not get that leash. And if anything, they almost faked a leash for the top side with Quacker started staying hidden while the bot lane exposed themselves as those initial waves did crash. So I'm curious to see how well Arbor Esports does in sort of tracking, not knowing for 100% certainty where this Olaf is headed.
Yeah. This is a very
This is bait.
passing.
This is a very, very risky bait play right now. Clifton Beefy is here. They're going to try to turn it around. Sushi Killa is running from Krogs. The flash engage from Quacka is going to get first blood, and now Clifton, with no mana, is actually sticking around. Sushi Killa is here. 2 buffs on the Olaf. It is going to scare Clinton off.
Yeah, no, a very strange pathing to come out from ShamWow, really trying to sell that bait as hard as he could, but you know what? Sometimes the bait is just so tasty, you decide to take it, and yet you still don't get hooked. So it ends up paying off extremely well for Mr. Quacker, and the Ignite does get thrown down, doesn't find the kill, but still a pretty great start for the side of Illinois Academy.
Yeah, absolutely. Early kill, early lane pressure as well in both the top and the mid lane. Teleport being used right now by Mindfully to get him back into that lane. So very, very strong start. Very different from what we saw in this first game already. I think this is much more of what Illinois Academy was looking for in that first game and sort of how they're approaching, how they're playing it. The bot lane as well, Arden just getting completely poked out.
Yeah, and one of the really strong points of this Azrael Soraka lane is the fact that you're allowing your Azrael really to just take trades without a huge care for his health, because of the fact you do have that Soraka, and the Soraka is being able to actually land a whole lot of Qs, which means that she's getting her own regen, which means that it just empowers the Azrael even more to take these trades, and that's why you see a pretty healthy HP discrepancy, forcing the Philios to go back and get that early call.
Yeah, very, very early call right now. So scaling definitely going to be the game plan, it appears, once again for Arbor Esports. But already seeing a more proactive and a more aggressive laning phase coming from Illinois Academy. And this could be a little concerning for the blue side pushing forward right now, especially if this early lead can start to snowball. Now, we haven't seen too much of an impact from Sushi Killa just yet. We've seen him kind of arrive late to both of the parties in this instance thus far. As soon as Sushi Killa gets more involved, I feel like things are just going to go from bad to worse right now for Arbor Esports.
Yeah, and one of the things that we did see in game number 1 was the fact that Sushi Killer was able to get the first move, but Clifton Beefy was able to get the better move or the better response, because he was able to actually find impact with his own ganks. And man, this is a lot rougher than what I expected coming in from this top lane.
Yeah, this Urgot is actually coming in huge right now, and definitely not what was expected. But sometimes this happens with those off-meta picks. You know, you sort of forget how matchups work when you don't see them that often. Meanwhile, action happening down below.
man.
That's a double root coming out of Wakani. The falter from Scrubkiller is there, but Clifton Beefy has arrived to turn things around. Scrubkiller is taken quite low, barely able to escape. Clifton Beefy still looking for damage down onto Kudrik, who has to back away. So a lot of action, no one dying in the bot lane.
And the power of Soraka just showing herself right there and just keeping the entire team healthy when it could have been a turn around onto Sushi Killa, but now he is pretty much full HP. He's going to be able to take this first dragon as well. And Cloud Dragon pre 7 minutes is actually insanely good because you get that extra cooldown reduction onto your first ultimate.
Yeah, I mean, the only ones who have been level 6 so far has been Quacker as well as Dandito, but neither of which had used that ultimate ability just yet. So everyone on the red side going to be able to take advantage of that early Cloud Drake. A great start for Illinois Academy. Again, much more aligned to sort of what we were expecting from this matchup at the start of the day. Now, whether or not they're going to be able to continue this lead is another story. They are going to have to continue to play at this pace, at this tempo. They cannot be allowed Arbor to sort of scale and get to that late game. But something I've noticed, which has almost been a symptom of the series, bar a couple of exceptions, it seems like the initiator or the initiating team in a lot of these fights and skirmishes has constantly been the team that has been falling behind, it seems.
And I think it really just comes down to the mentality that when you are behind, you feel like you're getting suffocated. So you're feeling a lot more compelled to try and create action. But in some of these cases, you just don't. But, I mean, that just comes with experience, just being able to watch these matches play out a lot more. And it does look like there's just constant fighting. Constant skirmishing happening, Max.
Yeah, it's everywhere. Great parry right there, stopping Quacker and his fear beyond death. That said, though, not out of danger yet. Quacker with the flash re-engaged does secure that kill.
Yeah, and when I mentioned the fact that Fiora just is able to really just counterplay a lot of Urgot's kit, well, you still don't get 2 parries in the span of 2 seconds, so you do have to be careful to not overreach right after you parry one of those key cooldowns coming in from the Urgot, and that is exactly what happened from ShamWow. He just goes in right after he parries the ultimate and then just eats the disdain.
Yeah, now Clinton Beefy is going to try and step up to Quacker, who again is looking to get a kill. Under the tower we go. Clinton has to flash to get out of it. The collateral damage doing enough to scare Quacker away. Sushi Killa again in the area, but a little too late to make anything happen. Eye of the Herald has been picked up, though, for this Illinois Academy side, as Arden needs to be very careful. True Shot Barrage gets the kill.
That is gross. The amount of damage and the amount of counterplay that doesn't exist for Arden in this bottom lane is, this is why Soraka, I don't know why Soraka got buffed. Max, why did Soraka get buffed?
Okay, well, because Soraka top was a mistake, so they had to nerf her to the ground, and then this is their way of apologizing to all 12 Soraka mains. Fear Beyond Death used very early right there, hoping to get enough damage from the Ragnarok use, but ShamWow still is going to be able to escape. Scrubkiller does force out the flash, looking to go under tower. Here comes Dandito. Not enough damage initially, but eventually he's able to whack the Fiora down, and now there's so many tower plates, so much gold going over to this red side. This is the snowball that they were looking for.
Yeah, and also just not much Fiora things happening. It could be one of those states, you know, the typical Yasuo play. Instead, it's going to be the Fiora where, you know, you're waiting for that 05 power spike. We're at the 03 power spike. So, starting to warm up here. Well, and we'll see when the power spike actually hits.
Well, at this rate, it'd be around that 15-minute mark. Meanwhile, Arden, looking to go in on Wakani, should be able to peel out. Collateral damage doesn't do enough to get past just the heal use. Here comes Mindfully, though, with the package. Able to pick up 1 kill. Next target is going to be Kudrik, and he's going to get bursted down as well. Real engage from Dandino, only gets the stun on 1, but it isn't enough to get a kill back on the Arden. Mexican Thunder trying to peel, trying to kite from behind. Here comes Quacker. Dandino back into the frame. Mindfully running towards the wrong tower, just getting absolutely shredded by Quacker, who was able to machine gun everyone down. Crazy fight, but in the end, 4-1 in favor of the red side.
So, Max,
Yes.
that fight happens between 2 towers.
Yes. Yes, yeah, the 2 towers on the side of the team that's winning.
Huh.
You remember what you said about when you're behind, sometimes you feel the need to make desperate plays? That was one of the most desperate plays I've seen. That's up there. That's up there.
Yeah. So they went from what was, I think, like a 2K difference, just a ballooned to
Yeah,
a
double it.
4K difference, almost
Double
a
it.
5K.
We cast the unofficial LPL league. We watch LPL all the time. We should be used to this. This is the norm.
Yeah. It still baffles me.
It's how League of Legends is played in the best region, Tower Dive, and meanwhile, as Tantito's going to find Arden teleport coming through a little bit too late, but at least, you know, you're going to be able to get some more plating, I suppose, if you're Kaderic in this situation. Or are you actually? He just immediately backed off after teleporting to lane to go check out what mid lane's like, so that teleport's not going to get him much, but I don't think it matters at this stage because Illinois Academy is just running away at this phase.
They are definitely running away with it. ShamWow just trying to freeze the wave as much as possible. He actually caught up a decent amount, but now a 3v1 for the Urgot, but one of them is pretty much dead in ShamWow. So really it's just to try and regain control of that wave, try and clear out the minions and get that nice little reset for the Fiora, which I mean she is she is 2,000 gold behind the Urgot.
Yeah, I
throwing
mean,
that out there.
you throw, that's fine, throw that out there. A couple K gold behind, you know, 0-3-0, not the best score lines, already lost the tower, but I've now seen 2 parries on Fear Beyond Death, so hey, that matchup coming in big. We're stopping those Quacker ultimates. We're going to ignore what happened at the end of the first one when I bring up this point. But still, you can sort of get at least that ability is working out, I suppose.
Yeah, and now, you know, the Fiora has the Tiamat spike. So that's a really big spike.
Yeah.
Especially against the full Black Cleaver. Definitely huge.
Being able to push a little bit better in a losing matchup will always work out well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just get stuck in worse positions.
Exactly.
But,
I mean,
able to at least clear the minions at the tower. But Sushi Killer just pretty much owns this top half of the jungle now.
Yes.
He can just walk in and deny Graves all of that extra farm. And with Dandito playing the way he is, he probably gets he just casually annihilates 200 years. So you know what beats 200 years? A champion that has Chrono Break.
yeah, exactly. Echo could be even older than he has more than 200 years. He has infinite time. Also, I know I agree with you, Sushi Killer. Yes, can just walk into the top side of the jungle. I think he can do the same for the bot side as well. I think all of the jungle now belongs to Sushi Killer as Quacker is just continuing to siege away down below. Yeah, this has been a roughie. This is a roughie for Arbor Esports for sure at this stage. Dandito just getting to work on his own on that bot side. The bot lane for Arbor is going to try and stop this Echo, but there isn't much they can do. They're going to wait for some help from Clifton Beef. But even then, Second Herald now picked up by Sushi Killer at 15 minutes. Usually you see it go down at like 18 or 19 minutes, but at the rate that this game is going, and how it's been accelerated, this is going to be a very fast one if we continue at this pace.
It potentially could just be a sub 25-minute game if things go exactly to plan because of the fact that they already have 2 of these dragons. They're just waiting for the next 2, and it would be a very early dragon solo. Dandito
Ooh.
is running into some trouble.
Yeah. He's going to have to back out of this one, or is he? Here comes the engage off of the ultimate. And Shamwell ready for it. He's going to get a lot of damage back, but not quite enough as Dandito is able to get the kill. Great use right there of the chrono break for that re-engage.
Yeah, and I mean, as the Furio, do you really think you can take on a champion that can defeat 200 years?
More also, if you're the Fuhrer, do you think you're the champion when you're sitting 0-3-0? Can you beat the 5-0-2 Echo in a 1v1?
It's the 0-3 power spike on Fiora. Come on, Max. Everyone knows that.
Well, I thought it was 0-5. We're not quite there yet, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, we're one step closer.
And I don't want to break. More pressure being put on at the moment via reset, via items right now. It definitely looks to be the case that under 20 minutes in, we're approaching a 10K differential. I kind of like to call it, you know how in traditional sports, specifically things like Little League, there's this thing called the Mercy Rule. As packages used on Dandito, are going to look to escape. Yeah, but gets the shield from the parallel convergence will be fine. But the Mercy Rule, right? You know, if you go up by like 7 runs in minor league baseball, you win, or things like that. I feel like we should change that rule in League of Legends to the no mercy rule, in the sense that, like, if you have a 10K lead at 20 minutes, you just have to go all in and win the game right there. Well, what are your thoughts on that one?
To force the Hail Mary, either you're going to throw incredibly or you just end the game right then and there.
Exactly.
It provides an excellent viewer experience because at least they'll see someone being put out of their misery, or they'll see the most, well, they'll see the greatest of Hail Mary throws.
Well, I mean, we're
going
definitely getting to that stage right now. I feel like a Hail Mary throw is going to have to be used by Arbor Esports at some stage in the near-ish future, because they are getting suffocated out of this game. I mean, again, we're nearly at that 10K differential, so it's almost at that point where Michigan just can beat down Arbor with the power of their wallets alone.
Yeah, these are some really heavy and really fat wallets coming in from the side of Arbor Esports here, or U of I. My bad.
Yeah, I mean, they got the they got their wallet chains, and their wallet chains are just thick, so they can beat them down with that as well. It's not a good time to be on this blue side, that is for sure, as Minions nearly taking down that mid tower right there. No neutral objectives, so I don't think we're going to see too much action in the very near future. Something I have been noticing out of this Illinois side is just the fact that, like, they will only pick fights, it feels like, when they feel like there's an objective for them to go for. The next one is going to be on the top half of that map. It's going to be a Mr. Nasher. Whether or not they go for the 20-minute Barrett again, this time they haven't done that premature inhibitor take, so they'll probably be all right. But I find it crazy to think that this game just feels to be going at such a faster pace, yet it was last game where we saw the 17-minute inhibitor.
Yeah, it does seem quite wild. But, I mean, what could make it feel a lot faster as well is the fact that we have Mountain Soul available.
Oh my gosh! Parallel convergence into the True Shot barrage just completely obliterates the side of Arbor Esports. Another pretty clean team fight coming from Illinois Academy. Yes, Shamwow is split pushing at that bot lane right now, but that should still be a Baron going to the red side.
Yeah, and that's all that's really going for them. They have the power of Shamwow, but you know, Billy Mays isn't here to really sell you the rest of that possibility here. They're really, really struggling this game here in Quacker. He's having a nice little merry-go-round going.
Yeah, but look, Billy Mays the Shamwow? I thought Shamwow guy was a different guy. He was that.
No,
he was that younger looking guy.
Yeah, it was the younger looking guy.
Well, I think they need to get Flex Tape Guy. I think that's where they're at right now, because maybe he can repair this sinking ship at the moment. Ragnarok being used, and a little too ambitious is Sushi Killer, forced to go gold.
God.
Staying alive, gets the heal from Lakrani. Still alive, finally gets shot down, but the Tree Shot Barrage immediately gets one back. Sniper shots coming through as Kaderic is leading the charge for Illinois Academy. Quacker, the Fear Beyond Death, does connect onto Arden. A double kill secured by Kaderic, who doesn't get the snipe with the Mystic Shot from over the wall. I don't think it matters. A 3-for-1 in favor of this red side.
And it's U of I just... They really want that third game here. They've really put the big boy pants on in this game, realizing that, all right, we kind of got a little bit too crazy game number 1. Dial it back here, game number 2. Make sure that they don't get the chance to respond. Just don't give them free gold by taking that 17-minute inhib, and you just see a world of difference.
Yeah, I mean... They are still kind of forcing plays right there. I mean, if Sushi Killa does what he just did with that Ragnarok, even though he died, but if he does that in a more evenly matched game, I don't think things go well for Illinois Academy. But in this instance, those wallets are so thick that you don't even need buybacks like what you would get in Dota 2 to still win those fights right there. Definitely looking fantastic right now for the Illinois Academy side, and they are playing as a whole, I think, a smarter game than what we saw in game number 1, a much more controlled game. They're now getting death bushes and catching out Clifton and Beefy, who's barely able to escape. Okay, so maybe that was a little bit premature. They didn't need to pull the trigger just yet, but still gets the message across. Get out of here, enemy jungle. We got dibs on this next dragon. We want that mountain soul.
This would be a pre-25-minute Mountain Soul. That is an absolutely ridiculous time to get it, and even more ridiculous is the fact that they're getting a lot of usage out of the double Mountain Dragons as well. If you look at their builds, they have that Death Dance, they have the GA that's going to be coming in soon, they have the Zanias coming in soon, and most likely another Death Stance for the Ezreal as well. So definitely a lot of defensive stats going to be built up on the side of Illinois Academy, and it just makes you wonder, what kind of damage are you going to be able to get that is able to punch through those defensive stats? And right now it seems very little.
Yeah, I don't think there really is enough, just an Infinity Edge sitting on Arden, and that's kind of like about it. Meanwhile, Dandito going super deep. True Shot Barrage is not able to connect, fortunately. You do have the Chrono Break as well as the ability to go golden, so Dandito able to escape only just, but not able to get that pick. It's going to be pretty big. 2 ultimates already have been used by this blue side as that mid tower continues to get sieged away. Finally goes down with Kanari picking up the kill. That's always fun when the support Raka gets the tower. I digress. Quacker doing a lot of work down below as well. Shamwow just unable to step up. Does go for the parry. It's a bit premature. A great body block from Clifton Beefy right there to kind of keep Shamwow alive. Meanwhile, up top, Dandito getting to work on the tower as well. Has the rest of his team behind him. There goes the first inhibitor. Second inhibitor, I should say, as mid inhibitor is gone. Mexican Thunder might be getting cut out. More importantly, Arden nearly rooted in place. Dandito quite low. Is going to have to back out. I'm curious if Arbor commits to this. Sushi Killa, no mana. In the end of the day, everyone walks away.
Everyone is going to be able to walk away, but I mean, the issue is for the side of Arbor, letting them walk away means that Illinois Academy, they actually get to spend what they just got from that little rush there. And yeah, I mean, the Ezreal has a full 2,600 gold waiting to be cashed in, and we have 1,400 on the Urgot, and plenty of gold already spent by the other members.
My favorite buys right there was actually, it looked like a straight up Lichbane purchase coming from Dandito to go with the Soul Stealer he just picked up, as well as the tier 2 boots. So I'm actually going to be watching Dandito as Shamwow is getting jumped upon. Sushi Killa just immediately eats him alive.
Yeah. Now going back to the Dandito point, no, he actually had the Lichbane already, but I
Oh.
believe he purchased a full-on Zanyas from the Arm Guards.
That's what it
And
was, right?
got the upgraded Soul Stealer. So
Yeah.
he's still sitting very pretty, and it's
And
still
he's
a lot
going
of money
super
that he
deep.
cashed in.
Oh, Barrage! There it is. Ragnarok being used right now to try and chase down Mindfully. GA will pop Sushi Killer right on back, waiting for the wish to come out of what Kanari not even needed. Although maybe it might be Kaderic is caught out, but it's not going to do too much because Dandito, he's feeling godlike. Quacker goes into the fountain, and that could be a bit premature. Dandito getting abused a fair bit. Only Shamwell and Arden alive, and it looks like Illinois Academy wants to win this one with an ace because Kaderic, instead of getting towers, he's looking for kills. Pop goes Arbor Esports, and that should do it for game number 2. Playing the Silverscapes, we're going to game 3.
We're going to the full distance here. And I mean, this is what happens when you get these interstate not interstate rivalries, but the inter-conference rivalries. You get things like these where it comes down to the wire, it becomes really spicy, and hopefully the third game becomes very even because the first 2 games did feel pretty one-sided.
Absolutely. I mean, game 1 was a lot more back and forth than game number 2 was, but if you want to talk one-sided, I think just take a look at ShamWow and his performances between game 1 and game number 2. Game 1, he was able to get that lead, get that split push going, always be a constant threat. Game number 2, 0-7-1.
Yep.
Yeah, that pretty much summarizes that. But also, you have to look at that bot lane. Kaderic, he was getting so many of his kills through the use of that True Shot Barrage, just being able to snipe out a lot of these team fights, especially during those mid-game skirmishes. He was keeping himself involved. But in my eyes, the big star was Dandito on that Echo, being able to roam, being able to teleport into, not teleport, yeah, it was just being able to roam really into plays when needed. He had that massive map presence that we were questioning whether or not he'd be able to pull off, especially against that Corky mid. Well, he was able to do so, and in spades. So definitely a great turnaround from Illinois Academy.
Yeah, definitely a very well executed game from Illinois, but we'll see if they can maintain that momentum going into game number 3.
Yeah, absolutely. Game 3 is going to be a big one. It's going to be the deciding one. Will Illinois Academy continue to stay undefeated, or will Arbor Esports be able to pull off that upset? Well, we'll find out in a bit, so don't go too far. Game 3 here at Upsurge Esports in just a few minutes, moments, whatever you want to call it.
wonderland. Cross the maze, the dark, the innocent. Chase the faith, the thrill, the heaven sent. I got your world upside down. The labyrinth will guide you far away.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Upsurge Esports. I am still Formal, still joined by a Night Star, and we are getting ready for game number 3. So ready, in fact, that the picks and bans have already started. This is it. This is for that series. It's either going to be upset central or continuing the undefeated streak.
Yeah, it is a game with some stakes on it. With Illinois Academy, again, they did come in as the 3-0 team up against Arbor Esports, who came into the series as 1-2. One of those series I would kind of give them the pass on, the one that they lost because of the fact that they were playing with subs, but at the same time, you know, it's still a losing record. And
Yeah,
Illinois, they really have to assert their dominance here.
That they do. And I mean, they asserted their dominance last series around us. We are just speeding through this picks and bans at this stage. The Olaf going to be the priority pick for the first time, as Felius was banned out, but that does leave the Trundle and, more importantly, the Varus up to be taken. So Arbor Esports can be very happy grabbing that duo.
Yeah, the Varus actually allowed through is very interesting, but I will say Varus did get hit with a huge nerf, losing 0.1 damage ratio. It really just prevents him from still nuking everyone on the server. That said, Syndra does get traded back, so Illinois Academy at least able to secure a very high priority pick themselves. And of course, the Lulu did perform not quite up to par in that last game, but this time Illinois are saying, we know how to play this champion.
Yeah, but on the other side, Arbor Esports are going to be able to grab that karma for them, something that we did see them have a bit of a run with before. So very curious on that one. Zoe, once more, going to be banned out. Darius, of course, has been taken away from Quacker, which is actually a bit surprising because, yes, the dude is known as a Darius sort of main, but the Darius game didn't go so well before, and the Urgot game did. Instead of seeing that Urgot ban, though, we're going to be getting rid of Kled. A lot of, comfort picks being targeted by Arbor Esports going into this game 3, whereas I feel Illinois Academy is definitely more banning out the meta. The Graves ban, I do like. The Victor ban, I like as well.
Yeah, and I think that Arbor Esports will look to lock in something like the Echo, try and secure that for themselves because of the Syndra matchup. For Illinois, I'm interested to see what kind of AD carry they're going to go for because of the fact you have the Lulu. Ideally, you want some sort of hyper carry to pair with that Lulu to really take advantage of all the buffs that she can provide you. Something like the Kog'Maw might be brought onto the table here. We'll have pretty good... should have a pretty good time against that composition. But can also certainly be something more crit based like the Xayah or the Tristana here. But Corki locked in for Arbor just gives that nice steady mid laner that has the ability to really scale.
I mean, there's also the Yasuo.
There is also the Yasuo who does get locked in, so that means that it could be a Syndra flexed into the bottom lane or the Yasuo going into the bottom lane as well, because you do have the ability to play around the Lulu ultimate at that level 6 to combine with that Yasuo. And Urgot will be the blind pick here, as now we get to see Arbor Esports, they get another chance to figure out what they want to play into this lane.
Yeah, something tells me it won't be the Fiora this time around. That didn't go so well last time. So instead, we're going to go a bit more of an early game dueler with the Camille hover at this stage. But going back to that bot lane again, having that flex is very interesting. Personally, I would like to see the Yasuo run bot lane. Just because I do think Yasuo should have the ability, if he's able to play that lane correctly, to chase down that Varus or the Karma at times. But I could also see it run in mid lane as well, because It really depends on how confident, really, I feel Wakanari is almost feeling with this Lulu in this stage, and like how confident they would be willing to chase down what could be a very fast Mexican Thunder and Arden combo. A very interesting pick and ban right now. We won't really be able to see who's going where just yet. I am hoping for a Yasuo bot lane. I just think that's going to be more exciting and more fun.
Yeah, Yasuo bot lane will provide some kill pressure if the Karma mispositions and or the Varus gets a little bit too close to the wave. It's also just a good pick into Siege Varus because you can just stop his engage, also just stop the big poke tool he has, really just shut that down in some of these siege scenarios. So a solid counter siege tools, but we'll see, of course, where he ends up landing. And as far as the rest of the composition really plays out, besides the Olaf pick, I think the rest of the comp really fits well together. So I am interested to see how this Olaf will end up playing, because in the previous game, he kind of just got his pick of the litter as far as getting all the jungle camps. We'll see if that occurs again in this game.
And the thing about, how he was able to get all of the jungle caps, it wasn't really so much of his own doing, but more of his laners doing. And we're seeing kind of similar lanes this time, or at least, lane strengths on this Illinois Academy side. So I could see a world where Sushi Killer is just kind of enabled to play a similar game. Granted, Clifton Beefy this time on the Trundle would be a bit more willing to duel at moments. I still kind of like this Illinois Academy jungler in this situation a bit more. Sushi Killa, he hasn't had that strong early game impact that I've been expecting from him within the first couple of games. Maybe game 3 he's going to be able to turn that around, but if the lanes are able to dominate like they did in game number 2, might not even be needed.
Yeah, and it will be Dandito taking the Yasuo into that mid lane here. But, I mean, at the same time, it could be like, all right, Kuder, do you know how to play the Syndra? All right, you go mid. And then I will take the Yasuo into that bottom lane. That could still happen here.
It could.
But Kuderik has played the Cassio in that bottom, or not in the bottom. Well, actually, he has played it in the bottom lane, but he has also played Yasuo in the bottom lane too. So they are comfortable in just making some of these different picks happen. And the Lulu will supplement both of these fairly well, but it doesn't quite have that hyper carry to really take over those late game scenarios. So the Lulu pick does drop off in comparison to what the Karma can do for her team as the game continues to move forward.
I just don't like the idea of Yasuo going mid in this matchup, though. I feel like he would work so much better with the Lulu down in the bot lane. I don't think that Kuderik, if he is playing bot lane with the Syndra, is really going to have that same sort of kill pressure onto Arden. Yes, Syndra's able to burst things down, and there we're seeing the swap.
Okay.
They swapped it. Okay. Because, yeah, as I was trying to say, like, you don't really have that same kill pressure with the Syndra onto the Varus just because of that Karma support. Clutch shields would be able to keep them alive, and then once all the damage has been burst, it could be turned around. Similarly, when you look at that mid lane synergy, Olaf, Yasuo, not a lot. Olaf, Syndra, big synergies, baby, because Olaf can really take advantage of any use to crowd control to apply that extra kill pressure, even onto a Corki. So I'm happy we saw that switch back. So it will be Dandito on the Syndra. It will be Kuderik on the Yasuo. A bit more conventional considering the matchups and these team compositions.
Yeah, so they're going to have the ability to really just try and catch out anyone in this top half of the map once again. I mean, that's just been the theme this series. It's been around this top side play. In game number 2, we did see the Ezreal Soraka really do well in the lane phase, but it's not like they were throwing a lot of extra resources into the lanes. It really was mostly those two just really outplaying with the matchup they were given.
Yeah, exactly that. And again, if we see something similar to this, if we're put in a position where Sushi Killa doesn't have to do much, where Quacker is just able to completely dominate the entire top half of the map on his own, well, it's going to be a bad time for Arbor Esports. I want to see Arbor continue to play that same sort of intelligent game that we saw in game number 1, work on the macro, secure some of these early advantages. They are on the red side again, and that could have a lot to do with how well they're able to sort of control that dragon pit in game number 1. It could be the case where this team is more comfortable on that red side moving forward. I think Clifton Beefy is once again going to have to do a great job in tracking his opponent on the opposite side. Otherwise, Illinois Academy might be able to run away with it. That said, we will be kicking off game number 3 in just a few moments, so do not go anywhere. When we return, we finish off this series with a bang.
This will decay. Your ghost and mind will shadow play. I got your world upside down.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Upsurge Esports. It's now time for game number 3. I'm hoping Silver Scrapes was played, but to be honest, I was muted because I like to encase myself in my own personal private bubble, and then I switch back on when the game is here. Fun fact, I don't talk at all unless I'm casting games. As it stands right now, Illinois Academy is on the blue side, Arbor Esports on the red side, and in a death bush as well, trying to catch out anyone perhaps scouting out that river, but Nightstar, I don't think they're going to find anyone just yet.
Yeah, no one. It looks like no one's actually planning to walk in there. So instead, they're gonna walk to them. So Arbor encroaching in, but spotted out means that they're going to actually back off after they get that ward onto that red buff. So it's going to be a little bit of a trade of vision. We'll see if Sushi ends up staying there.
I mean, I think Sushi's committed. I think Sushi's very committed right now to go for a cheeky buff steal. It doesn't look as if Clifton Beefy is going to be starting on the top side of the map either, so this could be very, very good right now for Sushi Killer in a prime position to almost get that triple buff. Needs to be a little bit cautious, though. Ward was just placed by Mindfully, so when they do retreat out of the jungle, they will be spotted. So maybe we'll see some vertical jungling or horizontal jungling, whichever sort of angle you want to claim it is at. But very different start from each of the junglers in this one.
Yeah, and now it's going to be really important for this bot lane to really get the lane shoved in here with the double arcane comet. You're going to be trying to shove in and get that lane control so they can make the contest for that red buff. Unfortunately, though, Syndra's in a pretty good spot here with her wave, so they might be able to get a fairly solid contest coming in from blue side, although Olaf kind of just farming out that entire top side.
Yeah, it doesn't look as if we're going to see too much of a contest, although here comes Dandito. Starting to look down. Instead, it's just going to place the vision in this situation. I think they might have been expecting Clifton Beefy to go for a full topside clear. Meanwhile, up above, ShamWow is getting engaged upon Sushi Killer, is able to force out the flash, and I'm not sure that was entirely necessary. Better safe than sorry. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, a second game is happening. Dandito actually getting beaten up a fair bit, but will hold on to the flash. So very different in how each sort of laner reacted to the ganks that were coming at them.
Yeah, and ShamWow's play has been a little bit iffy since that game number 2 got underway here because he never saw that Olaf exit the jungle, and they had vision in Tribush and in that bottom area on that ramp area as well by the Raptor pit. So they had clear knowledge of when that Olaf would actually leave that jungle, and then he just uses hook shot without ever seeing it.
Something, though, that I do find interesting, again, especially with the flash now gone from ShamWow as well, is that, like, each jungler, I kind of feel like, is not on the side where they want to be. I think Arbor Esports would much rather be playing for a top side, strong side right now, especially with, like, a Camille in the top side, and then on the opposite side, when you have a Yasuo, you want to try and accelerate that Yasuo as fast as possible. So I would almost be expecting Illinois Academy to putting more priority on the bot side. But because of that 3 buff attempt from Sushi Killer, he was forced to actually make that play on the top side when he got spotted out. And each of these teams kind of like out of their comfort zone to start this game. Now they're going to be able to maybe flip back where they want to go, but this is more beneficial for the Illinois Academy side because of that dragon that's going to be spawning. It's going to force Clifton Beefy to the bot side. So in a sense, it's almost like 3 jungle quadrants in favor of Illinois Academy to the 1 of Arbor Esports.
Yeah, I actually hold a little bit of a different perspective here. I think that there definitely could be a lot of attention thrown into this bottom lane, given the fact that it is going to be a lethality Varus. So you want to get a really good start here. And then also the fact that, well, it's Yasuo. So you, of course, want to try and invest some resources into this Yasuo pick as well. So both teams might potentially just crash into this bottom lane non-stop. But a level 4 Olaf does could make trouble.
This could be interesting. Clifton Beefy, despite being 2 levels down in that situation, was kind of looking for the fight, largely due to the help from his team. Meanwhile, up top, Shamwa and Quacker again going at it, with Shamwa actually kind of winning that trade in this instance. Clifton Beefy is going to clear out that vision. No one in prime position to go for the dragon just yet, as Shushi Killa does make himself known in the mid lane. This actually could put a lot of pressure onto Kaderic right now, as Clifton Beefy is back. Great pillar right there to get him out of position. He is going to be forced to burn flash.
Forcing the flash out from the Yasuo is quite big there, given the fact that he's not going to be able to necessarily dash out to escape, with most of the minions being really deep on his opponent's side of the map. But a nice little wave being accumulated here might allow them to just either start putting pressure onto this Yasuo lane with their extra range, or find that early reset to get the early lethality onto the Varus built up already.
Yeah, and it also looks like they're going to be getting that early Ocean Drake as well. This is a very big wave, which is going to be a little bit dangerous to clear out, because that's a lot of damage you have to tank unless you want to have some help from Mr. Tower. So Kaderic, go to farm under tower, do what he can, but as they are pushed underneath, that will be the first Ocean Drake going over to the Arbor Esports side, who, as I kind of suspected after, these first couple games, feel a lot more confident in taking these neutral objectives when on the red side of the map.
Yeah, we saw in game number 2, they struggled mightily in even getting 1 dragon, because they got 0 dragons on the blue side. And, I mean, that just comes out from the fact that red is able to just walk in and also pull out the dragon. So it's a little nice in that regard. But it looks like they're already going for that early lane swap. So this is really nice here. It's going to get the Varus out and about here, being able to possibly start out that Rift Herald as well once it comes up in 30 seconds. And if they get themselves the extra 2 plates onto the Varus really just starts to come online.
What I'm surprised about this play, though, is the fact that Quacker's sticking around. Shamwell just getting free farm down below. This is a lot of time and resources being spent at the moment by Illinois Academy to try and possibly catch out Arden and Mexican Thunder. But with that ward right there, what Kanari is spotted out. And yeah, it's going to force a teleport use from Quacker to go immediately from top to bot. Not able to sort of back and rebuy in that situation. And that's a big play for ShamWow, who I think definitely benefits from it the most.
Yeah, ShamWow just being able to get a free teleport with no effort at all. Quacker will try and get in onto ShamWow, but for the most part, it doesn't quite have the sticking power just yet, or the damage. So ShamWow is still pretty fine here.
Yep. Quacker, though, is going to be looking for this kill right now, and actually I feel it's pretty important, because at any stage right now, Shamwell has that ability to back and sort of refresh, and then all of a sudden have a pretty significant item advantage. At the same time as well, Arbor Esports going to go ahead and grab that first Herald, so curious to see how Arbor Esports play around with the TP advantage with the Herald right now. They could be looking to maybe force a dive in a lane some stage in the very near future with these tools available to them. It does mean Illinois Academy is going to probably have to play a little bit more passive for the near future.
Yeah, but they also have the possibility of just using the teleport coming in from Camille.
Yep, here comes the tower dive that I think we were expecting to see, but Camille's stuck under tower, unable to teleport, and the Axe is able to cut the Thunder down. Great little pickup right there from Illinois Academy, and it sort of stops this dive play, which really wasn't executed very well.
Not executed well at all there, and now the Lulu's level 6, so if they ever want to reconsider going for another play, they have to factor in the Lulu ultimates, the Lulu shields, and the extra polymorph as well. So now U of I in a very good position here, sitting very happy with being able to just slow this game down just a little bit, and the extra
that's a 2-level difference. That's a big difference right there, and Clifton Beefy wanting no part of that's going to have to flash out of that one, but more summoners being burned by this Arbor Esports side, who just a minute ago it seemed like they had all the tools and positioning to turn things around, but an unfortunate dive, unfortunate trades, more abuse being thrown at him as Shamwell forced to use the grappling hook to escape. It feels as if Illinois Academy are playing as the more disciplined and patient team in this one.
They are playing a little more calculated here, with the fact that they kind of are just sitting back waiting to hit their power spikes, whereas the side of Arbor, they're trying to push the tempo. Of course, you have the lethality there, so you want to try and do that, but a little bit too aggressive here. And Clifton Beefy, the main member of the team that's getting punished here, down almost 30 CS. He is down a full level. Also down a completed item as he's looking to complete his Cinder Hulk, whereas the Olaf already has the Warrior completed and halfway to his completed Black Cleaver as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And it does make these situations where if both junglers are alive normally be a 50-50, not so much right now, which is why I'm actually surprised how aggressively Arbor Esports are trying to position themselves around this dragon. Teleport is available for ShamWow, so it's not quite a 4v5 despite what the map is telling you. But even then, when you're looking at wallets, when you're looking at tools and resources available, it definitely feels as if Illinois Academy should have the advantage here. And as a result, Arbor Esports is going to back off, and this second dragon is going to be going to the blue side.
At the same time, it's not a huge loss for the side of Arbor because of the fact that you didn't know which dragon was going to come up, and if you get 3 Inferno dragons, that would have been a really good boon. However,
the change of corruption, did hit Dandito right there, but unfortunately, Scrub Kilo is more than enough needed to chase down Mexican Thunder, so a second kill going over to the Olaf.
Yeah, and then Sushi Killer really just taking it to those scrubs, taking out Mexican Thunder, really stealing his Thunder, you might say. Yeah, 2-0. Incredibly powerful, ginormous lead.
Mm-hmm.
Through the jungle position.
Yeah, this is sort of that Olaf I was expecting to see in game number 2 now. A bit more proactive, a bit more presence in these lanes, and Dandito, up for something secret right here. Sneaky, and the piercing arrow's already gone. Look at the damage from the unleashed power. Harden has no chance to survive that right now, and Mexican Thunder, that's... resigned to his fate in that instance. Quacker right now in a 2v1, not getting the damage he wants to get out. Clifton Beefy should be able to beat down the Urgot with that club. But in the mid lane, a flash engage from Wakani gets the growth knockup and it to the ultimate out of one Kaderic, forcing the flash out of Mindfully, who is still looking to escape. No help is coming from him, but should be able to get over the wall. One would think Wakani cutting off that escape route. The Wolves are being good boys and helping Kaderic out in that instance. So a couple more kills going in favor of Illinois Academy.
Yeah, and this game feels a bit done, Max. I don't know about you, but whenever Yasuo gets that kill and he doesn't have 7 deaths already, I consider that game over.
But he's not at 100% crit yet. So we haven't completed all the pieces of the Yasuo Zodia just yet. We're still getting there. You need the 100% crit. You need the 7 deaths. You need the split push situation with exposed inhibitors and no one else alive on the team. You need a solo Baron attempt.
And what's the solo Baron attempt? Yeah.
Yeah. The 20-minute solo Baron attempt, you need that, and I don't know what the 5th one would be. I guess teleporting to kill. Oh, he doesn't have teleport, so he can't do that. I don't know. What's the 5th part of the Yasuo Zodia?
I don't know. The 1v5 attempt?
Oh, yes. They're just going in whenever there's a knockup for no reason. Meanwhile, Bandito again going for another pick attempt, but this time a couple members of Arbor are there, and the Hex Tech Ultimatum will be able to hold him in place. So a nice little pickup for Arbor Esports. Fool me once, shame on you. Not going to be able to fool me twice this time.
Yeah, and the big thing there is the fact that Bandito used the ultimates right on the ultimatum, so none of those extra orbs actually came through to try and get that kill. Kuderik going to jump in here, but isn't able to bait any of those cooldowns coming in from the Yasuo. So we'll just have to walk it off. But once again, man, Sushi Killer is just... He must also be a lady killer, because that stat line is really, really sexy.
Oh, I know what gets you going right now. Unfortunately, I don't think I'll be able ever to win your heart, because my stat line's never really looking that good when I take any champion into the jungle, sadly. Fun fact, I'm terrible at League of Legends. As it stands, the 5-2 score right now, it actually is a closer gold score line at this stage, despite what one might expect considering how this game has gone. A lot of that, I feel, having to do with, a couple towers still able to go in favor of Arbor Esports for Illinois Academy. They have been making proactive plays on one end, but then having, plays against them on the other end. Similarly, ShamWow continuing to be that split push menace, just seems always to be trying to drive a wave into Illinois Academy despite the time or the situation. As Sushi Killer, I should say, not Scrub Killer. That's a different game entirely. Getting some axes back down. Very even matchup in this one, again, surprisingly so, as it does feel as if Illinois Academy is running away with it. Perhaps this next Dragon, though, could lead to the big team fight.
Yeah, and the big power point for the side of Arbor will really be when ShamWow hits that Ravenous Hydra. That's when he'll be able to really come online, and right now he's a little bit far, but with the completed Triforce, well, okay.
Oh, Ragnarok's used, and he will just be able to strike them down. On the opposite side as well, ShamWow was able to get that tier 2 tower, but at the cost of his life, as Quacker was able to get that kill secured. So 2 more kills, Rift Herald to drop. Yes, they lost a tower, but at what cost? I don't think Arbor Esports was willing to give it that much up for it, and things are going from bad to worse for this red side.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, we did have ShamWow just go into or sacrifice his life to take down that tier 2 tower, and that's not a trade you should take any percent of the time, because of the fact you can always just come back and take it later on when you've got more items, but instead decides to just give it up right then and now.
Well, I mean, especially with teleport available as well in that situation, if you really wanted to make that play, you could have just gone back and then teleported and applied that pressure yet again. I feel as if Arbor Esports is getting a little bit desperate in trying to accelerate, their own pace of the game, trying to get their own objectives. Again, when you're running things like that lethality Varus, sometimes you do feel like you need to rush plays in the situation, but you also have to be recognizing of the tools you have available and not willing to sacrifice so much, because when you give up your life for those objectives, yes, you're accelerating the game, but you're also accelerating the clock that you are up against as well. So it's sort of like a net neutral type situation right there, and realistically, probably not worth it. Baron will be spawning in the next minute or so, so that's going to be an interesting sort of global objective that I do believe each team probably feels as if they're going to need. So I do expect perhaps a elongated Baron dance coming up very, very shortly.
Yeah, certainly Baron will be a very nice buff for the side of Arbor, especially given the fact that they have the split push with the double teleport and the very well scaling Camille. The Corki is also well underway as well, very close to the Triforce completion, along with the fact that is only 100 mana away from completed the Muramana. So very close to his completed 2-item power spike here. Maximum, basically maximum capacity as far as his spikes go. And it looks like they're just waiting for someone to peek into this top tower, or if no one does, just kill mindfully.
Yeah, Mindfully is in a lot of danger right now, and I'm not sure how aware of it they actually might be. Okay, nope, able to suss it out, but it might not matter. Ragnarok straight through the rocket escape coming from Mindfully right there. Again, doesn't matter. He's gonna Bandito that damage from the Scatter the Weak, the Unleashed Power used to secure the kill on Arden right there, and Bandito is absolutely monstrous on this Syndra.
Yeah, you see him just sitting in these bushes, really just sacrificing a lot of gold, where Mindfully is just able to kind of just continue to farm up. But it all pays off in that instance where Mindfully's dead and you get to get the kill onto the Varus, and now they're onto the Baron buff. Can they actually finish it out, or can Clifton get in there?
Oh, I don't think Clifton's getting in right now. Dandito with the Scatter of the Weak will stun him in place long enough for Kaderic to get the kill. Really was the tornado stolen by Shamwell. Are you kidding me? He gets a couple kills to Brute on the back end. Somehow still alive with Connie and Quacker trying to escape Fear Beyond Death, though. Gets the Fear right down onto Shamwell, who's unable to get over the wall. Eventually, he should be gunned down. There we go. The triple kill goes to Mindfully. My goodness, what a turnaround. Shamwell actually did get out alive, and Arbor Esports are back in this game. You there? Can you breathe? Inhale. Exhale.
I'm still exhaling. Okay, well.
And
do you remember what happened in game 1? Because I'm feeling some deja vu here.
It wasn't as bad as that, though, in game 1.
Oh, no, it certainly wasn't. That was like, that was truly the cherry on top, because you had Shamwell get a double kill in addition to getting the Baron buff himself. So, you know, everything just rolling incredibly well for Shamwell here. And really, they shouldn't look to even go for this Cloud Dragon. They should just have Shamwell in a side lane right now, because he has hit his 2 items. He is at maximum capacity right now. He's incredibly powerful.
Well, he's in the side lane right now, but he's not drawing any pressure. So really, if Arbor Esports can continue to just play like this Dragon Dance, that tower might go down very quickly. Finally, Quacker making his way down there. But meanwhile, down below, the pillar is not quite positioned well enough to get anyone out of place. Shamwell now going for the duel with Quacker, is able to dodge the engagement. Here comes some help from Kaderic. Hex Tech Ultimatum is kind of used to slow things down. The wall stopping any damage from throwing back. Mindfully, oh no, gets immediately caught up. Ragnarok used, but the health bar is too low. Quacker out of position, will go down, and those health bars are far too low. Shamwell's looking at it, is able to dodge that tornado right there, but not going to be able to go all the way in. Meanwhile, that Cloud Dragon was secured, so the Dragon score again tied 2 apiece. Shamwell still looking for kills in the end, turns his attention to the Krugs.
Yeah, we'll be able to use those Krugs to just heal himself back to full, and that's just the power of that Tiamat here. And now we're seeing the power of this composition over on the side of Arbor.
Stop the backs, get the kill. Shamwell gets a kill on the Sushi kill out right as this cannon empowered wave is starting to hit those towers. Shamwell still looking for it, still trying to stop the backs, buying time, but does get stunned, does get polymorphed, and the kill really secured by Kaderic. However, the damage has already been done to the tower. Down it goes, exposed inhibitor on the bot side of the map.
Yeah, and Shamwell goes a little bit too far. Unfortunate for him, and that's actually a really big shutdown for the side of Illinois. But the fact of the matter is, Sushi Killa, with that great opening, now he's running into some issues. And mainly it's the fact that he's not as useful as Trundle at this point in the game, because if he runs in with his ultimate, Clifton just steals whatever little resistances he already has, since he is going full damage Olaf. And if that's not enough, he can just throw a pillar in his face and he can't get around terrain.
Yeah, absolutely. This game has definitely just been flipped back on its head. Still very, very close, though, if we're looking at gold. If we're looking at kills, obviously the small advantages in Illinois Academy's side. But that Baron steal by ShamWow leading into the series of events that immediately followed it, 100% has kind of kept Arbor in this game and maybe even given them that small advantage. I still feel as if each team should be playing pretty comfortably and feeling like they should have an advantage, which does mean this next neutral objective that comes up, I expect there to be yet another fight in this one. I'm still surprised at the fact that, like, you know, first time casting NA games, and there's been how many sort of Baron throws? All right, three Baron throws so far in this one. Nearly one for each game. I suppose it's one on average. And we're still not done yet. So this is, you know, speaking from that oceanic perspective, definitely living up to expectations in that regards.
It's a nice welcome back, you know? We really missed you, Max.
Oh, I'm sure. Okay.
You know, you really miss Arden.
Yeah, one scout of the week you go down, but ShamWow, this is what that split push can do. I don't think Quacker wins this fight. God. Hex Tech Ultimatum used, and that is going to be yet another inhibitor going down, but this time, you know, a bit more realistic, not 17 minutes. Instead, it's closer to 27 with Baron coming back in less than a minute. That's going to apply so much map pressure against this Illinois Academy side. Oh, flank happening. Kaderic looking to get on the back onto Mind Fury right now, but Mindfully should be able to escape. Ragnarok Hughes, look on the backside. What is Clifton Beefy doing? He's just buying time because ShamWow is able to get onto Akani. Meanwhile, Kaderic, though, is cutting through the entirety of Arbor Esports. He gets the double. He gets the triple. ShamWow, though, will stop the quadra, but now is in a lot of trouble. His Polymorph is in Stungesville and will get shut down. Dandito gets on a killing spree.
Dandito getting the shutdown onto ShamWow is huge because now that's so much extra gold going in for the Syndra, and now they're going to
just wait it out. Here we go. We've seen this before. I mean, death timers kind of in their favor. I don't think we're going to see the piercing arrow.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen. I'm ready.
It's warded though. It's warded, though.
I'm ready. The blind steal. I'm ready.
It's premature, but now he has an idea of what the health bar is at. He does have enough time for another one right now. They're still working on it. Teleport's coming through. This is getting riskier and riskier for Illinois Academy. They're looking for it. They're trying to come around for the flank. You can see Quacker doing work. Here comes Corky. That is okay, though. The Baron is secure, but at what cost? Because Clifton Beefy is in the middle of the pit, and he is going to town. Quaker, Fear Beyond Death does not come through as he falls in time. A triple kill to Mindfully. Yes, you get the Baron, but you lose the fight. I think that counts. 4 Baron throws in 3 games.
And that's a way to end it, Max. That is one way to end it. I don't know if they will go for the end. The death timers certainly are long enough that they could go for it if they wanted to.
There.
They should look to try and finish, especially with how crazy this game has been.
Yeah, here they go. Hextech Ultimatum is going to hold Kaderic in place. He's forced to go golden, but that could be biding the time. So Connie is back up, and they're unable to secure the kill. More work happening on the tower right now, which actually killed Mexican Thunder, by the way. That execute happened. Kaderic's turning it back around, gets a big shutdown. Clifton Beefy not going to be able to escape. And yep, here we go. We're not done yet, as they are able to bring it back on the brink of death with a huge assist coming from Nexus Tower B.
And ShamWow just might be looking to take matters into his own hands as he's looking to try and really sneak in here. Unfortunately, they didn't focus a Nexus Tower. When they went, they had split focus, Max. They couldn't kill a tower because they decided to auto different damn towers.
Yeah, I mean, you know, they were autoing different towers. Some of them were going for the kill onto Kaderic. No one was really trying to end that game. And I think that's a case of, you know, you get that adrenaline pumping. You think you've had that game won, and very unfortunate situation. So Illinois Academy, they have Baron buff on 1. They're still very much in this game. Gold nearly identical as a matter of fact. And with 2 inhibitors down, it should be more gold actually being funneled into this Illinois Academy side. This game could still just go either way.
It really could. ShamWow, he's gonna try and work on the last tower or the last lane he can really work on, because the other two do have just supers pushing in. But it also means it's a pretty clear path on what he's going to do, and pretty obvious counterplay is to just camp that. So we see 4 of them sent over to take and secure that blue buff for Dandito. And Dandito at this point has the Ludens completed, has the death cap completed. It looks like he's going for the Zanya's next instead of completing the Void Staff. And now here comes the collapse onto ShamWow.
But is this the right time to do it with super minions and the rest of Arbor Esports in their base? Like, yeah, they might be able to catch ShamWow, but ShamWow will happily give his life if it means getting the game. Ragnarok is used, but Nexus towers are starting to fall. Finally, you're starting to see the recalls come through. ShamWow first of all golden, but he can just turn this around and stop the backs. The Nexus is exposed. That game, Arbor Esports steal the win away from Illinois Academy.
You know, this was a series where we got to see a nice game of catch between father and son. That's what it was. Especially this last game.
Yeah, I mean, that's really well put. You know, how wholesome. What a wholesome game 3 right there. Just a nice play game of throw and catch. Throw and catch. Now, obviously, well-deserved victory for Arbor Esports. Smart decision at the end right there. Just, you know, let all of Illinois Academy chase down your top laner while you finish the game. Great decision-making. Well-deserved victory. And what a fun series as a whole.
Yeah, what a way to cap it off. We had a lot of shenanigans happen, and it truly rewarded us in that we wanted a back and forth third game, and I definitely think it was back and forth.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the best way to put it. I mean, credit to Arbor Esports as well for always finding ways to sort of like stay in these games and fight in it. If you're Illinois Academy, I think in the future, perhaps Baron should not be a priority at all. Just avoid it. Avoid that entire area of the map. That's going to be the no-go zone moving forward, because definitely some rough Baron decisions, just rough macro decisions as a whole from Illinois Academy. The decision to sort of throw 4 people at the Camille with super minions in your base, I'm going to be questioning that one for a while.
Whoops.
Again, hey, you know, we're used to yelling at LPL, right? Like, we should be used to this right now.
I would say usually it ends up being both teams just deciding to just butt heads. Instead of, you know, actually try and make that side lane play, they decide, all right, the time is now. We have to 5v5. But we didn't see that there. It was an intelligent decision coming in from Arbor. And what a way to lose your undefeated record.
Yeah, I mean, exactly that. I still think, you know, Illinois Academy, we have seen the individual skill on this team definitely come out in spades, specifically in game number 2. So I think it's just a case of calming things down, focusing a bit on the macro, and we could see this team once again pick up their winning ways. For Arbor Esports, they're going to be super happy, I feel, getting the W with this one. It was a bit of an upset. ShamWow in particular, that Baron steal was a thing of absolute beauty. So keeping that in mind moving forward, I think teams are going to have to be aware of this player. Now, you can shut him down. You could definitely shut him down. Game 2 was emphasis on that, and I think that might be something other teams are going to have to focus on moving forward in this. But on that note, it is sadly time, I think, to say goodbye to everyone.
Yeah, I think that's one way to conclude this. It really was a great time catching up with you, playing some, commentating some catch.
Yes. You know, Very I already made fun of the Vikings once. I'm not going to go there again. Either way, it was a fun series. Definitely enjoyed it. Hope to do more. North America, he lived up to the expectations and then some. Upsurge Esports, stick with us. Go ahead and follow if you have not yet. There's League of Legends, there's Rocket League, all sorts of fun things. All the information is down there in that description. Another big shout out to the sponsors. Shout out to the production team. Thank you everyone for watching and have a great afternoon. I have been Formal, joined by Nightstar. Follow us on the Twitter and enjoy the rest of your day.